Back up, back up, back up, back up. Shout out to Matthew Platt, man. I'm not in the office today. Man, sitting up here with my kids, just enjoying the sunshine and whatnot. And man, you know, I had to give my daily shout out to Matthew Plant. He got the hot song of the summer. Y'all need to get on that backup challenge, man. Matthew Plant, Plante, and that backup challenge so we can back up, back up. Lucy had me down, but back up, back up, back up. And now I'm back up, back up. Man, I love that song, man. That is my summer jam. Anyways, man. Hey, what's going on? What's going on? It's HD Rhodes coming live and direct, man, in a different part of Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada today. And, man, just here, want to go ahead and talk to you guys a little bit, you know, today about, you know what, how you guys have the opportunity to take advantage of some of the most coolest trends of our lifetime. You guys literally have the opportunity to do the same thing as the Vanderbilts, the Carnegies, come on, the Rockefellers, come on, the Mellons. Man, you guys have an opportunity to be able to have your picture on the above the fireplace with you and your spouse, significant other, and your great grandkids are going to be able to say, back in 2025, you know, we remember that my grandfather, my great grandfather, my great grandmother, they took advantage of this opportunity when AI was taking over. And when the AI was taking over in the AI revolution, guess what? My great great grandma or great great grandfather put their stake in the ground and they decided to create great wealth. And it's because of this that our family is where we are today. And you know what? That's what I want to talk to you about, is because you have that same opportunity. You know, it's the same opportunity that Jeff Bezos took advantage of back when the Industrial Revolution went through streamlined distribution, and he's seen it. He said, man, with all this technology coming out, your Microsoft, Intel, Pentium chip, and, you know, he had the vision. He could see where things were getting ready to go, and he decided that he wanted to be the world's largest book distributor. And, you know, imagine how crazy that might have sounded to his friends, his family, his neighbors, because guess what? Starbucks was already connected to Chapters Indigo. They were already connected to Barnes and Nobles. And we're talking about on every corner in every city on the planet. You want to talk about a head start. But Jeff Bezos had a dream. And he understood where technology was going to go. He understood what the trends had done in the past and made people billions of dollars, made them literally household brand names. And he stuck his claim. He put his stake, pow, right there in the road. And he said, man, if he was a surfer, he goes, you know what? I see where this wave is going, and I'm going to start swimming right now. And right when this wave gets here, when this opportunity meets my preparedness, I'm going to ride this wave to billions. And he did. Not only is he one of the top book sellers online, he's also one of the top sellers of toys, clothes, health and beauty. Come on. Amazon.com, man. I even watched the NC2A March Madness basketball tournament. Come on, through Amazon, man. And that's the power of you following your dream. And that's the power of when you get at the right place at the right time, leveraging technology, and all the trends are pointing that way. Man, it's amazing what you're able to do. And so that's what we want to go ahead and talk about today while I'm sitting up here chilling outside, enjoying the sun, enjoying the breeze. So a lot of people like to go, HD, you know, well, how did this all come about? And so we'll go ahead and we'll start at the beginning. You know, at the turn of the century, the 20th century that is, when the agricultural age was going more towards the Industrial Revolution, you know what? Over 90% of the population started moving into, you know what? The cities, okay? A lot of people started moving off their farmlands, selling their farmlands, and they started moving to the cities because why? They had bigger jobs, a lot more money they could make. You know, you look at just those people who moved from the deep south up to, you know, Detroit, Michigan, Motor City, working for Ford and all the other, you know, automobile companies. You know, look at the amount of wealth that people are able to create, you know, for themselves, right? It's the same thing that we've seen happening in the Industrial Revolution when you had all these manufacturing plants and warehouses, in which the advent of the steam engine, the railroad engine. Come on, man. There was so much money made in that transition. Well, guess what? The same thing happened when they went from just the Industrial Revolution to streamlined distribution. When they started cutting out the middleman, as logistics companies got better, they started sending things not as much by train as they did by semis. What took place? You know what? There was a transfer of wealth, transfer of power. You've seen a lot of these companies that came on the scene, the DHLs, okay? The Federal Expresses, the UPSs, okay? Some of these major corporations took advantage of the shift in technology, one, and the shift in the economy. At the same time, that was where you started seeing these names come up known as direct sales company. Companies like Amway, Mary Kay, Melaleuca, Prime America. Man, you name it, these companies got in the game. Why? Because they seen a major shift in the economy, and the shift was how products were being brought from the manufacturer to the retail market. As they started cutting out the middleman, billions of dollars were created, millionaires were being made literally in a 2 to 5 year span, and then you go and shift more towards the dot-com era. People like the Jeff Bezos, you had the Google, the YouTube, you had the Facebook with Mark Zuckerberg, you had Amazon.com. You literally had billionaires being created in a shorter period of time. And now we see the social media revolution. You have content creators becoming influencers, where literally they have major corporations linking themselves with individuals who are just regular people like me and you, who've made their way onto YouTube, made their way onto Facebook, made their way onto Instagram. They created a name, a following for themselves, and now they're literally became millionaires in what seems almost overnight. It's no longer these people focused on working a 40-40 plan or even a direct sales 2 to 5 year plan. We have people who going from literally obscurity and no one knows who they are 1 minute to 3 to 6 months later, everyone on the planet knows who they are because of social media. And now when you combine that with AI, man, I'm telling you, you've never had an opportunity like that. And so that's why we're talking today, is because I want to talk to you about the opportunity to live your goals, your dreams, to be able to enjoy the kind of life you've always dreamed. Like, let's be real. I grew up like a lot of you. And when I grew up, I was told that, hey, if you want to be successful, you got to go to school. You got to work hard. You got to get good grades. You got to go to college and get a good job. And if you do really good at your job, you'll be able to turn that into a career. Now, the problem with the 40-40 plan is most people were focused on that 40, the first 40, but they didn't realize after 40 years, they were going to have to try to retire on 40% of what they weren't able to live off of. And the reason most people aren't able to live comfortably off of the amount of money they're working on the 40-40 plan is because there's 4 income drains in which they don't teach you in school. Number 1 is taxes. Most people with a job, whether you're a T4 employee in Canada or you're a W2 employee in the United States, no matter how much you're making, say you have, you just got out of college this year. Congratulations to all my college graduates, University of Washington, Stanford, Cal Berkeley. Hey, congratulations, Harvard, Yale. Come on, let's talk about Canada, McGill, University of Victoria, UBC. If you graduated this year, congratulations. I pray that you're going to get a job making 6 figures, because the cost of living is a lot higher now than it was when I graduated from college 30 years ago. So let's say that you're blessed to be able to get a nice corporate job making $100,000 a year. As an employee, by the time you actually get your check, it's going to be cut in half because of taxes. So you're going to pay taxes before you get paid. Then you're going to budget the rest of the money. You're going to pay taxes every time you spend that money. And then you're going to pay taxes at the end of the year. And so what happens is, just by being an employee, you got to pay taxes 3 times. Now imagine, instead of doing that, what if you're an entrepreneur? What if you're a business owner? Well, business owners, when they get paid $100,000, they get that whole check. And they literally have all 12 months before they have to pay taxes on that. Now you go HD. They don't got to pay taxes when they buy stuff. They do. But you know what happens is, if they end up with $40,000 at the end of the year, okay, that means they spent $60,000. Now, as a business owner, they're going to be able to keep their receipts. They're going to go see the type of tax accountant that you're not qualified to be able to see, because business owners get to go to special tax specialists for business owners, and they're going to be able to take all of their receipts, match it up with their agenda, or their calendar, they're going to be able to see where they're doing business. They're going to see the money they spent on marketing. They're going to see where the money they spent on collaborations is what they like to call it online. You know, if you're working on a collab, back when I was younger, we used to call it networking. You would go to a dinner, you go on a golf course, maybe you're going to go, you know, at Starbucks. All that money that they spent towards making a profit for business, okay, they're going to now submit that. And now what that's going to be used as a tax write-off. And because of those tax write-offs, they're now going to actually be paying taxes only on the $40,000 they got left, not the $100,000 that they got paid. Now compare that again to someone who has a job. You're only really going to receive $50,000 after taxes, but you're still going to be paying $100,000 based off that tax bracket. Now, the second income stream, in which most people aren't aware of, is interest. So, you know, a lot of you who, you know, you worked really hard, you got really good grades, you know what, you guys got a scholarship, but maybe it wasn't a full scholarship, so you had to take out a loan for $100,000 to $200,000 for school. You're not going to be paying that school loan back just for the $100,000 to $200,000. You're actually going to have to pay interest on that, and then what it's called is the interest rate. It's the same thing that you're going to have if you have a house loan, which they call a mortgage, or a car note, okay? Interest is also something you're going to pay when you're not able to afford things like most people in North America because of cost of living. You're going to get qualified because you have perfect credit. And you know what? It all sounds great at first. You know, you use your credit card to buy the merch or the gear you want. Young kids like to call it merch. I remember, I'm sorry, my daughter's going to correct me. It's called drip. Anyways, you know, when I was younger, we just called it gear. Some people are going to use their credit cards to be able to go on that fancy vacation and go, you know what, I got a good job, I'll pay it off later. But the problem is later sometimes doesn't always come. God forbid there's an emergency. You know what, speaking of emergencies, the third income drain is insurance. You got to have insurance when you have a car. You got to have insurance on your house. You better have insurance if you're going to travel. God forbid you get sick in a foreign country. Last but not least, medical insurance. Medical insurance is not free in Canada. I hate to tell you, even though people say it is. I know I always had to go ahead and pay just a little bit money whenever I had to pick up my prescription drugs, whenever I blew out my knees. And I messed up my knees 3 times since COVID. The right knee I blew out in 2020. In 2022, I blew out my left leg. I blew out my right knee again in 2024. You go, HD, what are you doing? Hey, I've been driving truck, but guess what? Sometimes some places don't have a pallet jack, so you got to move that stuff by hand. And unfortunately, at my age, my knees didn't hold up. So I share that with you because you know what? There's 3 income drains: taxes, interest, which is interest rate, insurance, but the fourth is the biggie. And that's inflation. And what inflation does is it doubles the cost of living every 10 years. So if you graduated from college this year and you're making $100,000 a year, that means in 10 years, in 2035, you're going to have to be making $200,000 a year just to live at the same level, to be able to afford the same things you do right now today. Now that means in 20 years, which is going to be 2045, you're going to have to be making $400,000. And by 2055, in 30 years, that means you're going to have to be making $800,000 a year to be at the same level you are now. Now, a lot of people think, well, you know, I just got out of college, I got a good degree, I went to a good school, I might move up and become a CEO. And you know what? That's really your best bet, because the average CEO in the United States of America right now makes over $725,000 a year. Unfortunately, in Canada, the average CEO only makes $206,000. Feel free to Google and fact check that. You know, that's one of the things I do before I do my presentations. Now, the other thing you also have to understand is, you know, HD, that makes sense. And that's the main reason why when we went from the Industrial Revolution to streamlined distribution to now heading into the .com era, social media era, it's the reason why most families started off only needing one income to be able to provide for them. But then every 10 years, as the cost of living went up, you went from a household where dad used to work to mom and dad work, to mom and dad work and dad has a second job, to mom and dad works and both mom and dad have a second job. And now you have both people in the household working full-time jobs, driving truck, you know, on the side. Some are doing Uber Eats, some are doing Uber, some are doing DoorDash, some are doing Skip the Dishes. You know what? Some people are going online and trying to figure out how to be a content creator. Why? It's because the cost of living doubles every 10 years. So You go, HD, that's great, but what's the solution? You know what? That's a good question. So that's what I want to talk about next. 30 years ago, I was blessed to have a mentor who was in the mortgage industry, who brought me into the mortgage industry. And the one thing he told me, he goes, HD, if you want to be successful, you need to start thinking like a millionaire. And I was like, okay, well, how do millionaires think? And he goes, HD, if you want to be a millionaire, you got to talk like a millionaire. You got to think like a millionaire. And he goes, you know how to do that? I go, no, that's what I'm asking. He says, you got to read like millionaires read. I said, okay. Just about that time, he got a phone call and he stepped out of his Porsche 911 twin turbo. I looked in the back seat and I seen a book. It was Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I immediately took a pen, wrote it on my hand, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki. And after I got off work, I went to the Barnes and Nobles that was connected to Starbucks and I bought that book. Now, when I read that book, let me tell you, one of the best things I ever learned in that book was this. There's something called assets. There's something called liabilities. An asset is something that puts money in your pocket. A liability is something that takes money out of it. Unfortunately, when most people go to get a bank loan and they fill out their asset and liability column, they're able to put all sorts of things that's not an asset. Like if you have a house that you're paying a mortgage on, it's not an asset. It's not making you money. And the reason is, don't make that payment on that mortgage for 3 months, and we'll find out what kind of asset that is, okay? They'll be looking to foreclose and take that house from you. So bottom line is, you got to understand the difference between what puts money in your bank account and what takes money out. Now, the second book Robert Kiyosaki wrote was called Cash Flow Quadrant. And in that book, he gave the solution on teaching you how to go from being an employee to being self-employed. Now, the reason why you want to do that, I already explained. The difference of being an employee versus being a business owner is you have all sorts of tax advantages. And when it comes to the interest rate on interest or insurance, now those things are tax deductible. Now you go, HD, what about this inflation? Because that's supposed to be the worst. It doubles the cost of living every 10 years. You know what? The best thing about having a business is, you know what? Inflation now as a business is a hedge of protection. Every time the cost of living going up, guess what happens in your industry? You never noticed that as prices go up, that everyone's prices go up? If the prices go up at the gas station, all the other local gas stations, the price goes up. You never find a gas station that they have a price of $1 per gallon while everyone else is at $3 per gallon. There's something called regulation. So the bottom line is, when you have a business, inflation becomes a hedge of protection for your profits now. So that means that, you know what, if your business has the same amount of customers year after year, in 10 years, guess what? You'll be able to keep up. Now, if you're actually diligent and you expand your customer base, now you're actually making a profit. So today what I want to talk to you guys about is an asset. And the asset I want to talk to you is an online platform by the name of Vibe. And it's spelled VYB, or Visualize Your Breakthrough. Now, the great thing about this platform is it was started by an English teacher who, you know what, she originally started teaching classes on entrepreneurship as an after-school program in a school in which was one of the top schools in the United States. The only problem is some of the kids who were going to that school were out of the inner city. And the reason I say it's a problem is because sometimes they would come to school and the problems they had, other kids couldn't relate to, such as having friends or relatives who didn't wake up in the morning because they got shot the night before, because living in the inner city is rough. Outside of the fact there's gang problems, there's drug problems. So what she wanted to do was she wanted to teach them entrepreneurship and to teach them how to be able to make money, you know, selling a product that's not only legal, but it's something in which, you know what, it's honest and moral. Okay, so as she started doing that with her twin sister, and I'm talking about Megan and Reagan Lynch, okay, they started doing pretty good. They also even decided to write a grant. They got $100,000 on that grant. Unfortunately, when it came to the school went ahead and used the money on band equipment, football equipment, and obviously they were not happy about that. Megan Lynch, being the teacher there, she talked to them. They said that, you know what, that's the way it was. Unfortunately, she got fired because she didn't want to let it go. Now, the smartest thing that Megan Lynch did, she decided to go into the direct sales industry. Why? Because, like I told you, with what goes on with the trends, with the cutting out the middleman, the distribution system, a lot of people back then were literally going from, you know, regular jobs to making 6 figures to 7 figures in a 2-year span. So she did that. She was blessed to start making millions of dollars in the direct sales industry, and she became someone who had kind of a reputation. They started calling her the legend maker. Why? Because she had a knack for teaching people how she was building businesses, taught them a system that was easy for them to duplicate, and they were able to do the same thing to be able to create millionaires. Now, the thing is, Megan didn't just do this with 1 or 2 companies. If it was just 1 or 2 companies, you could have said, oh, well, she's just at the right time at the right place. But she literally created a system to be able to help people accomplish accomplish her goals. And the great thing is now she's done that so many times that she's successfully been able to create millionaires. Now her and her business partners decided to start their own company. And so with their company, they're no longer selling other people's products and services. Their goal and their focus of their company is to have an online platform to be able to teach anyone and everyone how to be able to monetize their dreams, their goals, their gifts, which is the reason why I'm on this live today. Because you know what? The God I serve, you know, it means a lot to me. And in the first 50 years of my life, because I'm 50 years old, the only thing I focused on was my success and how much money I could make. But you know what? I made a commitment, you know, back in 2017 when I stopped running business. And I told God I didn't want to have anything else to do with business again. I really wanted to start focused on, you know, living a life of significance. I went into coaching. Before that, and my focus on coaching was I wanted to help as many athletes to be able to get a college scholarship so they'd be able to live a good life. Now at this point, well, God has brought me back into business, not so much for myself, but for me to start working on significance. And I found a platform that literally allows me to empower my friends, my family, my colleagues, my associates, all those people who I've built relationships over the years. And the coolest part about it is this platform focuses on one thing: your dreams, your goals. That is their product. They have one focus and one focus only. If you have a business, if you have a product, maybe you just have a dream or goal. Maybe you've written a book. Maybe you're a professor and you know what? You're not working in the school no more. You already got your tenure, but you know what? You have this special education and knowledge that nobody else has, and you really just desire to get back in the classroom. Well, guess what? We have a platform for you. The great thing about our platform is we're in 160 countries around the world. The other thing is, outside of being able to teach live, all our classes are recorded. So that means that if anyone takes your class and if they have a day job and they're not available to be able to come to your course, they can go to the recording and be able to keep up. Now, the great thing about that for you as an entrepreneur, or for you as a professor, an author, a pastor, or a content creator, is having your course, your value-added course online. That means that, guess what? You're doing the work once. And since it's recorded and uploaded online, now you have a digital product that's making you money over and over again. I'll give you an example. I have a friend down in Washington. He actually was in Taiwan for over 18 years. He teaches martial arts. And you know what? I like to normally joke around with him and when I'm doing my online presentation, and you know, but today I'm kind of serious because, you know, I'm watching my kids, and so I'm trying to keep the flow of business. You know, I normally tell, you know, karate jokes about Bruce Lee, Bruce Leroy. You know what? If you're from the inner city African community, you understand who Bruce Leroy is. Okay, it's a joke about martial arts. They had this really cool movie that you can pretty much only see on BET. It was awesome. You know, look it up. You could probably go Google the name Bruce Leroy, and it'll make sense. But long story short is, my friend, his name is Rob. He's been studying karate for over 18 years. Now he's back in North America, and the cool thing is, you know what? I called him, you know, a couple weeks ago. Hey, Rob, I want to talk to you. He goes, HD, I know you love business, so what is it? And he goes, I'm not going to be rude. I'm going to hear you out. But unless you can show me a way to make money doing nothing more than karate, I'm not interested. I said, Rob, get a pen and paper, man. I'm about to blow your mind with what I'm about to tell you. And I went to explain to him. I said, Rob, next time you're teaching your classes, all I want you to do is set up, you know what, a tripod, hit play, or not play, hit record, and just start recording your classes. He goes, why? I said, this is why. I said, I'm getting ready to go ahead and launch a platform with over 70,000 entrepreneurs in over 160 countries. And our platform is all about you. You are going to be our product. All we want to do is help educators, entrepreneurs, and content creators be able to run successful businesses off and online. Basically, we want to help you go viral. Bottom line. So if he goes ahead and does what he said, we go, hey, if we're going to help you basically get visibility. Now, that word visibility is very important because my good friend Jerome Majette teaches a class on marketing. And what it's called is attraction marketing. And the whole point of attraction marketing is so that you're not out there having to spend all this money on sales and marketing and funnels, and you're not out there having to blow up all your friends' calls and they're like, oh, what did you join today? No, attraction marketing literally allows you to go from being the hunter to being the hunted. It's a system that basically you're able to run where your perfect customer, those who are looking for you and your product, are now attracted to you. And basically all you got to do is just take orders from people who are already qualified and want to do business with you. Now, my best friend Jerome Majette, who introduced me to this platform, is going to be teaching a class on this. Just to let you know how powerful this class is, Myron Golden, M-Y-R-O-N Golden, took this class. Now, if you look up Myron Golden on YouTube, you'd understand he is one of the top entrepreneurs, content creators right now on YouTube. And he used to be a pastor, okay? He makes well over $10 million a year. He took this class. When he took it, it costed him over $10,000. My friend Jerome Majette, he wants to bring this information to regular people like me and you. And so it's only going to cost you between, you know what, $20 to $30. Now imagine this. If 1,000 people take his class just like Big Rob, he's going to make between $20,000 to $30,000 this month. Now here's the great thing. If there's truly value in the class that they're teaching, that means next month those people will refer one person. That means instead of making $20,000 to $30,000 next month, they're going to make upwards between $40,000 to $60,000. Now, imagine the third month comes along and everyone just refers one more person again. Now that means instead of making $40,000, they're going to be making $80,000. Instead of making $60,000, they're going to be making $120,000 a month. This is the power of the technology. That's the power of doing business online. That's the power of having your own digital content. So if that makes sense to you, I'm going to move forward. Because you know what? With this company, we don't just put you on a platform and go, good luck. The one thing about this platform is it's run kind of like a university. So imagine an entrepreneurship university where they're teaching you success. If you just want to be a student and you're not really looking to even become a business owner, you can go and learn from the Financial Academy of Financial Literacy. And we have, you know what, professors who are going to teach you how to become a professional day trader or a stock broker, okay? You're going to learn Forex. You're going to learn crypto, DeFi. You can even learn sports gambling if you want. People go, sports gambling? Absolutely. You better go online and check what your kids are taking in college, because guess what? What I found out is that's actually a pretty popular elective in the university these days. Now, outside of that, with you coming to our platform and you're starting your business, outside of the marketing classes you can take with Jerome, the cool thing is they have what they call Vibe Tribe, and which is basically a community of like-minded people, which means that, you know what, if you're in a particular field and you know what, they don't have that community yet, you could be the one to start it. Man, what better way to network with other people than people who are like-minded in the same industry? Man, that's ingenious. Now, you know the other thing that's really cool about this? You know, some people already have their business ready. They're literally ready to launch. But you know what? They got the marketing, or maybe they haven't had the marketing, so they're going to sit down with Jerome. But wouldn't it be cool if you had a branding division where literally their whole focus is to help you be able to brand your business, your idea, your product? Wouldn't that be awesome? Well, guess what? We call that Vibe branding, and that's something we do. Outside of that, we also have Vibe collaborations, which is part of our platform, in which you can go ahead and collaborate with successful entrepreneurs. We also have something called Vibe Spotlight, which is our way to be able to introduce you to 160 countries. Imagine the power of you launching a business. We've already helped you brand it, right? You've already learned how to market it. You're now marketed off and online, not just on our platform. Come on, man. I would be on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Man, if you're going to be online, be online. Come on now. Now, the cool thing is we're going to spotlight you on our platform, which means that, you know what? We have 70,000 entrepreneurs who opted in, and this is in pre-launch. We're literally just launching this company this week, and there's already 70,000 entrepreneurs who already said, oh, yeah, we're in. Now, the cool thing is 70,000 entrepreneurs already opted in, and imagine they only have 100 customers. That's 7 million eyeballs looking at your product, your brand new book you just wrote, your brand new merch. Speaking of merch, if you have your own design for hats or shirts or jackets, we actually bought over 40,000 square foot of warehouse space just to be able to help people to be able to design and manufacture their own merch. So pretty much what I'm telling you is, if all you have is an idea and a passion for some gift, we are the one-stop shop to help you start your business to go from step one to done, including if you need money. We have something called Vibe Ventures, which is our venture capitalist division, in which we have billionaires who are ready to hear your pitch, kind of like a Dragon's Den or a Shark Tank, so you can go ahead and get started. Now you go, HD, this sounds really good, but how am I going to make money outside of just on the platform? That's a great question. You know what? If you're someone who's like me, you've been in sales for a long time, and you know what? You have a passion for being able to help people. The great thing is there is a direct sales part of it. And a lot of people go, oh, I knew, HD. You're always part of a direct sales. And you know what? I talked about that on other videos, so I'm not going to get into it. Direct sales is actually one of the most efficient ways to bring a product to market. Why? Because instead of companies spending billions of dollars at the Super Bowl or at the NBA Finals or at the PGA Tour or at Wimbledon, they can literally spend that same amount of money actually paying companies who has their own sales force based off of production. So as their products being sold, they're able to then go ahead and pay out their marketing budget, which allows them to keep more of their money for research and development. I don't know about you, but that just makes good sense. Now, the other cool thing is this. Imagine that direct sales kind of like a gym membership. Imagine I work out right now at Fitness World. So what if Fitness World said, HD, you're already paying us $50 a month. And you know what? We decided that instead of spending these billions of dollars on TV ads and radio ads and social media ads, you know what? We're going to start paying our members to refer their friends and family. So every time you refer one of your friends or families or coworkers, we're going to give them a 1 week free gym membership. And then at the end of the week, if they decide to sign up and they pay their $50 a month for membership, we're going to start giving you a residual $10 as a thank you. I don't know about you, but if my gym did that, I'd have my cousins, my sisters, my aunts, my uncles, my best friends, my colleagues from work. Man, I would have everybody I know. I'll be probably running advertisements on social media. Hey, if you're getting ready to want to work out, you need to go work out at Fitness World. DM HD Rhodes and let me tell you why. Now, one of the coolest things about that is that's just the second way you get paid on this company. Now, we have 3 other income streams. Now, let me explain them to you. Also on the direct side, we have what is called, and it's called the Legends Matrix. Now, what that means, if you're not in direct sales, it's not going to make a lot of sense to you. But if you've been in other network marketing companies and direct sales, it will. So basically what happens is, say that you invited those 3 friends to the gym, like the example I gave you. Now, the cool thing is, what's going to happen is every month that they go ahead and they pay their membership, like we said, if my membership was $50 and the gym was giving me $10, I'm going to give you a real life example. This platform is going to pay you to bring content creators, students, business owners, people who want to start their business. Now imagine every time that they're paying their monthly fee, which they're paying because they're going to have their own chat GPT, their own bank, their own website builder, their own content course builder, their own AI information, plus everything I named. Oh my goodness. You know how much that would cost? My friend Jerome said it cost him $1,500 a month just to advertise his book for Amazon. The nice thing is you're not even going to have to pay 1/5 that, and you're going to have all the things I just talked about. The cool thing is if you invited 3 of your friends or family members who had talent to our platform so that they could go ahead and build their business through us, our company is going to pay you literally $5 of their monthly fee every month. And that goes down to 10 generations. Now, if you do the math on that, 3 by 3 by 3 to 10 generations, by the time you get to the 10th generations, that means that there's 60,000 people on that 10th level. Now, just $5 alone on their memberships, that's $300,000 a month. You're getting paid just because you shared an opportunity for your friends or family to build their own business with their own product, their own idea. They're literally doing everything. They're naming it. We're just going to help them with the branding, the marketing, selling, giving them the accessibility online and the visibility, the exposure to be able to make as much money as possible. Like, why wouldn't you want to do that? I mean, I started this youth training program. Literally, I want to say my kid Trey turns 23 this June. So it would have been, heck, man, about 13 years ago, I started this program called JC All-Stars. And I was just mentoring youth, just helping them to be able to become, you know what, college type athletes. And guess what? If I would have had a platform like this, it would be scary. When I see how much money these AAU programs are making these days, man, when you see all these youth sports training companies these days, like I was just 10 years or 13 years before my time. I didn't realize it. But you know what? I know that some of the kids who I train are actually personal trainers now. So if they actually DM me and say, "Hey, Coach HD, I seen your presentation. Hey, tell me more how you could help me as a personal trainer to be able to expand my business," I could turn him literally from where he is right now to a millionaire literally in the next 12 months. It's easy because literally you have social media and AI doing the hard lifting for you. So the cool thing is the last 2 income streams work like this. Imagine the fact that this company is literally going to give you a 100% match on that gym membership pay I talked about. And then for those friends and family who invited their friends and family to make their own money, start their own business with whatever their gifts, dreams, and goals are, they're going to give you a 50% override on that. The cool thing is when I actually put the compensation plan in Chat GTP, because my brain doesn't function at that kind of level, by the time it was done, I literally took a screenshot of the compensation plan for this platform, put it in Chat GPT, and by the time I said, hey, tell me how much money I can make with this business, it spit it out $972,000 a month. And that was just on the first 10 levels. And that doesn't even include the money they're going to make being able to sell their courses online, where I showed you could easily make $200,000 a month. I was done. I was like, you know what? I guess there's nothing more for me to do than to find out what my friends and my family's dreams and goals and the gifts that they have that they want. I said, because everything else is taken care of, I can literally put all my attention on you. Now, to give you a perfect example of that, if you go on social media, on any social media, and you type in the name Matthew Plant, Plante, that's one of the gentlemen I'm working with right now, okay? He's literally blowing up the gospel music scene right now as we speak. We've only been working together for 3 weeks, man. And you know what? Here's the most powerful thing. We hadn't even launched our platform yet, and he's already going viral. Think what you'd be able to do with your business ideas. It doesn't matter if you're making cups, you're looking to make merch, you're looking to be a personal trainer. Maybe you have an online course that you already wanted to create based off of your skill set. Maybe you're a master accountant. Maybe, you know what, you're the master at DIY. You know, no one can go ahead and do renovations like you. Man, maybe you're just good at gardening. Someone goes, good at gardening? Hey, Martha Stewart made billions off that. What's my point? Whatever your goal is, whatever your gift is, whatever your dream is, DM me. Let's bring it to life. So I'm going to go ahead at this time and end this presentation. I'm going to go spend some time with my kids. God bless. You guys have a good weekend. I'm out.